This content is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised. Peace by A.B. Richards. I hugged Lauren and Javier goodbye, sad to see them moving out. They'd been such great neighbors, and it was always a crapshoot when someone new moved in. But that is the way of apartments. I've had quite a few neighbors over the years. Dixie, you're coming to the housewarming party, right? Lauren touched my shoulder. Wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't deny I was a little jealous. They'd just bought a new house with a big yard for the baby on the way and the dogs they were planning to adopt as soon as they got settled. I would kill for a big backyard. The complex management spent a few days getting the apartment ready for new renters. I worked from home, and the industrial equipment and loud radio of the workmen passed through the walls like water through a sieve, disturbing my peace for 3 days. I had to decamp to a nearby coffee shop with my laptop for any hope of getting work done. The fresh paint was barely dry when I heard the deadbolt turn next door and the thuds of something heavy being plopped on the floor. Muffled voices. 9 p.m. on a Thursday seemed an odd time to be moving in, but whatever. I was busy decorating my apartment for the Halloween party I was having on Saturday. It was going to be low-key, a dozen people, if everyone and their plus one showed up. Costumes optional, dinner, games, alcohol, maybe a scary movie. I smiled at my reflection as I stuck a bloody handprint decal on the bathroom mirror. When I was satisfied with the apartment's new look, I brushed my teeth and slipped into bed, visions of jack-o'-lanterns dancing in my head. Boom, boom. Thudding against the wall jolted me awake. A man shouted a string of curse words, and the wall shook again. A woman sobbed. I pounded my side of the wall. Knock it off, I shouted. A door slammed, and the woman cried even louder. This is not going to work out. I put my earbuds in to listen to a meditation app on my phone so I could have some peace and get back to sleep. On Friday evening, I was struggling down the hall with too many groceries. I had overloaded myself, trying to bring everything in on one trip. I didn't hear the footsteps until the man was too close. The greasy-haired dude in a denim vest loomed over me. Not sure if he was a biker or a biker wannabe. He looked as tough and stringy as a cheap cut of meat. Hey, it was more of a grunt than a word. Let me help you. He snatched one of the shopping bags, dragging it painfully down my forearm. I bent my elbow, trying to keep it from him. I don't need your help. He yanked the bag off my arm. Just moved in yesterday, trying to be neighborly, trying to see where I live more likely, and if I'm home alone. But I knew what to do. I dealt with plenty of bad neighbors before. Oh, did you move into 422 on Thursday night? I let him carry the bag. It was full of cans, so if he insisted, I wasn't going to argue. May as well get some use out of him. Yeah, name's Herb. I stopped at my apartment and unlocked the door. You married Herb? I'd seen the woman leaving from next door earlier. She'd worn sunglasses in the hallway, but they didn't entirely cover the purple bruise around her eye. Nah. I unlocked the deadbolt. Well, why don't you set that bag on the table? I put my groceries on the counter while he closed the door and slid the chain lock closed. You live here alone? You're as subtle as a sledgehammer, Herb. Just me and my cats. They're very shy around strangers, probably hiding under the bed. Cat lady, huh? He stepped closer to me, invading my personal space, trying to intimidate. He stank of unwashed clothing, sweat, and nail polish remover. His knuckles were skinned up and bloody. Had he been punching the wall last night in addition to his girlfriend? That would explain the thudding. I swallowed my revulsion and touched his right hand. You need some soap and water for that. Why don't you meet me in the shower? I tilted my head and licked my lips. He gave me a lurid grin. You don't fit the stereotype. Get the water going. Be there in a minute. I put away the perishables and took off my clothes. When I stepped into the shower, he was so focused on my bare breast that he didn't notice the box cutter. Not until I dragged it across his throat. By then, it was too late. He'd bleed out in less than a minute. The others had, anyway. His hands went to his wounded neck and his mouth moved. He was trying to say something. Call for help, I suppose. But all he managed was a sickening gurgle. I hated that part. As his knees gave out, I eased him down into the tub to drain and left the shower running so the blood wouldn't clot in the plumbing. I'd spray it down with bleach later. I used my electric carving knife to cut his body into 7 pieces, then added his head to the collection in my freezer, shoving a package of green beans out of the way. I put each of the remaining 6 pieces in its own double-bagged garbage sack. A hot shower washed all the blood off me and out of the bathtub. I got dressed in shapeless clothes, donned plastic gloves, and got to work. It was warm, and the knitted hat made my head sweat. Took 3 trips to get all the bags to my car. Herb was a big guy, and I had to go the long way around to avoid the doorbell camera 3 doors down. Spent 2 hours driving all over town, leaving bags in different dumpsters, miles apart from each other, in down-market areas where upstanding citizens and cameras were less likely. I took the gloves off, put them in a paper bag, and dropped them in another dumpster a block from the central police station. I hustled back to my apartment, put on a fresh set of gloves, and got Herb's truck. I left it in long-term parking at the airport and kicked his keys down a storm drain. I paid cash for the multiple bus rides back home. It was just getting light when I arrived. Had enough time for a few hours sleep before I had to start cooking for the party. Peace restored, I stretched and nestled into my pillow. Wonder if the cops will come by. They only knocked on my door to chat the time the tuba player disappeared, and they didn't suspect a thing. I guess I just don't fit the stereotype.